Welcome to the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast. Strangle your demons and let's go.
Y'all need Jesus!
Fifth floor, Lorimer apartment above the warehouse. The Hasidic landlord checks on the rent. Neon light shining off of the bodega. It's been weeks since I got up out of bed. I pushed her farther for nothing but the silence. Sometimes it's nice to just be alone. Up and down, trip the rock around the diamond, and sometimes it skins me down to the bone. Once in a lifetime, wake the dead and dreamer, the angel, the sinner, the saint. Once in a lifetime, dealer's got 21, that's Brooklyn, or maybe it's fate. Once in a lifetime, you put the handgun down, the bag down, and give it away. Once in a lifetime, got your eyes wide open the moment that you could be saved. Welcome to the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast. I am your host, Eric Hellberg, and you know we're like Einstein over here, man. We have no special talents. We didn't say singing was one of them, but we sure are having fun. We're just passionately curious about all things pertaining to men, and that is one badass song. It's from a group called The Night Game. Some people know them, some people don't. They opened up for John Mayer one night down here in Houston on a hot, humid evening. And it's a concert I won't forget. It was just kind of vibing along. Sometimes as men, we just need to vibe. Kind of need to just go with the flow. And who was it? It was Winston Churchill who said, if a man can keep his head while all those men around them are losing theirs, well, then you will be a fine man, my boy. Learn to keep your head in the chaos, man. So many people are losing it all the time. The man who can stay in control of himself and in control of his emotions, especially under duress, is a dangerous man. Watch that man. Follow that man. That is the way to be men. So let's start off with some edits. Here we go. I was smoking a cigar on the other episode. It's a Rocky Patel. Certainly am not going to change that, nor the cigars that I love. But I had just got off the phone with my son's hitting coach, who is from the DR, the Dominican Republic. Badass dude. Badass country. We'll need to do a whole other episode on the forgotten country that actually used to be a part of them. They are contiguous. That is Haiti. Why has Haiti been forgotten? But other than that, I had the DR, the Dominican Republic, on my mind. And when I was talking to you about the tobacco filler, binder, wrapper that Rocky Patel uses, it's actually Nicaraguan. It's not Dominican. I didn't even catch it. I was just vibing, right? Till I heard the episode again. And someone sent me a deal. They're like, hey, man, Eric, what are you talking about? I'm like, dude, I jacked it up. All right. Anyways, we got that basis covered. Then we just did one on the big lie, right? Russia bad. And I talked about some ties. And if you really want to get into the CIA ties and how George Herbert Walker Bush was actually a CIA operative. He had been in the CIA's employ, albeit in a subcontracted capacity. He never was W-2'd. It came through other companies. Well, and then, of course, that culminated with this brief stint as the director of the CIA. If you want to find out more about that, because it ties in nicely to Russia bad, check out my episode called Bushmaster. And there's some other corresponding episodes. And if you want to know about his affinity for Barack Obama and how there was unity between both of these families, where it all came from, go ahead and check that out too. They were all within a span of about 5 episodes. Just look at the titles and you will find them. But our edit from Russia Bad isn't an edit at all, just simply to add information. We know that Avril Harriman and Bush's father were super close. We know that Bush's father, the Bush that was president, that is, was brought in because these were not Texas oil men. These were northeastern elitists from Connecticut and New York. That's where they all originated from. That's just a good old boy persona that got sold to you, and we believed it. Remember, we are rewiring our brains. Anyways, so both father of Bush the president and grandfather were brought in as investment bankers at Brown Brothers Harriman. I guess that's what happens when you all go to Yale together. And did you know that Brown Brothers Harriman exists even to this day? It is a very large private equity banking firm for the ultra-rich. And they've got about, I think right now, but in their private clientele, from Wall Street perspectives, not that much, but about $60 billion under their care and custody. So, I mean, hell, that's a hellified aid package to Ukraine, is it not? You can do a lot with 60 bill. So they're still going. And remember that I said the offshoot of Brown Brothers Harriman was the Union Bank Company. And the reason Union Bank Company spread off is they needed a more direct line conduit to the Nazis, and they needed to get it out of the auspices of Brown Brothers Harriman. I talk about this on Bushmaster. So Union Bank Company, of course, had Prescott Bush as a shareholder, and it also had Fritz Thyssen. Now, do you remember when I told you IG Farben in the last episode was made up of several companies, and I asked that you heard of ThyssenKrupp, which is right here in America too, even though its headquarters are in Germany. Well, the ThyssenKrupp Corporation, that was one of the companies making up IG Farben, was founded by Fritz Thyssen. And so Fritz Thyssen and Prescott Bush are the ones that ran the Union Bank Company. Did you know that The Guardian, which is an independent journalism source out of Britain, they did some old work that you never heard about regarding the Bush crime family? And did you know that Bush presided over that Union Bank Company because a lot of people have tried to distance themselves from that, meaning the Bush family. And of course, they had enough juice to keep that from ever hitting the mainstream press. But did you know that what they tried to say is that, oh no, once the Nazis took over and, they were rolling through Europe, had invaded Poland, Bush got away from those guys. No, he didn't. No, he did not. His business dealings at Union Bank Company continued until 1942. And you know what brought it to cessation? Here's what brought it to sensation. Congress got wind of it. They seized the company's assets under the Trading with the Enemy Act in 1942. Remember, we joined the war in 1941? So Bush was doing business and dealing with the Nazis in the lead up to the war and even during the war. Do not be fooled. Okay, that's our edit for today. So let's keep on rolling, man. We've done our edits. Let's keep on rolling. I kind of want to better define where our week is going to go. And you guys let me know if, in fact, we have accomplished our modality of thinking change. And here's all you need to know. Anything that the current media shouts across the rooftops, meaning it's almost like they're reading from the same script. They're all in unison. Abjectly deny it within yourself. Go the opposite direction. And thought, action, and deed run like hell from it. Because our current government is given over to the enemy. Yes, they have given our country over to our enemies far and wide, and they are vast, because not a damn one of us would dare to go into our neighbor's home, basically force ourselves there. We would be afraid of the ramifications, much less about how we affect that person on an individual level. But there would be safety issues. And we have tons of safety issues right here at home. Probably 200,000 terrorists living in this country, just waiting to go. So we wouldn't break into their home, and we certainly wouldn't tell our neighbor how to conduct his or her life and or how to run their family. But essentially, that's what we have done all over the world. And the reason that we have given ourselves over to the enemy is because our current leadership and the people behind them, i.e. the Klaus Schwabs, the BlackRocks, and the politicians and defense contractors and high-ranking defense, take your branch of service. Whoever rises up to the top now is chosen. He is made so he can go in and then be subordinate to this hegemony of the New World Order. You don't believe me? What about Lloyd Austin? You're going to say, oh, don't say that about him, Eric. He's black. Well, we don't give a fuck that he's black. He rose up to a certain level. Perhaps he did have some proficiency. But as he kept going at a certain level, they did not promote Lloyd Austin because he was black. They promoted him because he was a good yes man. All the boxes were checked. He did everything that he needed to do. Yes, he was in combat theaters in charge of men, but he never actually engaged in the strife and or the fight. You don't believe me? Why in the world would Lloyd Austin be given the Silver Star? And that is for gallantry and action in the face of the enemy. And in his citation, it just simply says, he drove his command vehicle, meaning a driver drove his command vehicle, and he would have had protection elements flanked around him. 500 miles from Kuwait to Baghdad? Well, what did they encounter? What did Lloyd Austin do? There's people with half their bodies left that were engaged in despicable stuff that never got a Silver Star. But Lloyd Austin has one. And had it not been for Admiral Mullen in 2009, when Austin handed over command of the 18th Airborne Corps, and he was sent directly as one of the directors of the Joint Staff, meaning I'm going to work my way up, right? Okay. Even Lloyd Austin admitted at that time. People who might not have known Lloyd Austin began to know him. And boy, Lloyd was ready for that. But when he went AWOL from his command, and that was at the end of last year, oh yeah, you better believe it. Our Secretary of Defense went AWOL. Well, why did he go AWOL? Because he said he's an extremely private man. And when he went to have a prostate procedure done, the president didn't know. The Pentagon didn't know. He just went away. Went away for approximately a week. Had a procedure, was under anesthesia. I think that's kind of important. No one could reach him. Can you imagine if any soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, Coast Guardsman, whoever under his command did the same thing? Where would they be? Where would they be? Leavenworth? Out of the military? So I guess unbeknownst to even his undersecretary, who's never worn a uniform, period, it is a lady, and she is a civilian. Ooh, a very astute academic lady. She's published lots of papers. We essentially had no command structure. But then Lloyd came back and, he probably told Joe Biden what was up, if Joe Biden could even understand it. I'll tell you another thing about good old Lloyd Austin. Right here in my own hometown, there is an organization that achieved worldwide appeal. It was founded by a guy who was a champion water ski jumper. And he was plagued with insecurities. So you know what? He found Christ. And then later on, after 9/11, he started taking dog tags and putting Bible verses on them. And it would bolster troops' morale. They had something that they could tangibly hold as they exercised their faith in whatever theater of war they were in. Did you know they were actually given a Department of Defense contract and those dog tags proliferated, and rightly so, yeah, you will have your service-issued dog tag. But why can't they have another one? Whether they want to carry it around, put it in a cargo pocket, wear it around their neck. You know who poo-pooed that? The great moral man, Lloyd Austin. In fact, he filed suit against them. Oh yeah, he shut them down. No more dog tags, period. And they are in an ongoing lawsuit, which I think they are going to win. I actually did an episode on it called The Dogs of War. And I called Lloyd Austin a dog. And he is. I think that Shields of Strength, which is that organization's name, is going to win it. A Christian advocacy law group took that case pro bono. It's been going on for over 2.5 years now. But I think they are going to emerge victorious. So maybe once again, all these good men and women that were sending in harm's way can have a Bible inscription on their dog tags. So, good old Lloyd, I tell you what, and what happens when he exits the military? Well, how about we just back up? Here, let's get our chronology right. This is even before he exited the military. As soon as Lloyd Austin retired as our CENTCOM commander, this was in 2016. Okay. So he's leaving service. What does he do? He joins the board of Raytheon. One of the nation's premier military contractors. Where have all their arrays and radars and space technologies and missiles, and where has all that stuff gone from 2016 to present? Oh, yeah. He simply said his stock holdings were only worth $500,000, but his compensation package was worth $4.7 million. That's pretty good money quick, isn't it? Then, of course, he gets appointed the new Corps' board of directors, gets appointed as an independent director of Tenet Healthcare. Boy, this is great stuff. You know what else he becomes a founding member of? Pine Island Capital, an investment company that works with the defense industry. They raise equity for it as if they need money raised. Does that mean they siphon it from the Fed, give it to them? You know who else is a managing partner of Pine Island Capital? Our current Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken. Oh, yeah. You know who acts in an advisory capacity to Pine Island Capital and is paid for it? Victoria Nuland. Oh, good old Victoria Nuland. She's never met a war she didn't like. And that was President Obama's de facto foreign policy advisor. Where she got her expertise, I don't know. But did you know, and you guys look it up for yourself, don't take my word for it. I want you to look into the pedigree and or the heritage of both Anthony Blinken and Victoria Nuland. I want you to look at where they are actually from. They both have Jewish heritage, and they are both from villages in Ukraine. That is where their families are from. But we seem to have a lot going on in that part of the world, do we not? All right. So then, of course, Joe Biden and Lloyd Austin became chummy. In fact, Biden said he really trusted him because while he was vice president, and we know that Joe was active as a vice president, wasn't he? He grew to trust Lloyd Austin after his many briefings. Okay, well, that's good. So they forged a relationship. So good old Lloyd stays in the private sector up until when Obama is ushered into office, and he appoints Lloyd Austin Secretary of Defense in 2020. That is a wonderful thing. Did you know, excuse me, among his earliest acts as Secretary of Defense, you know what Lloyd Austin immediately did? He removed former President Trump's appointees from the Pentagon advisory boards. And as part of another review, he ordered the resignations of others that he simply did not agree with. What about healthy discourse on matters of public safety for the United States of America? And then as Secretary of Defense, you know what Lloyd's primary agenda was after coming in 2020? Oh yeah, you're going to like this one. It was his agenda to coordinate with Anthony Fauci, who at that time was the chief medical advisor to the president, President Biden, to confront the COVID-19 pandemic within the Department of Defense. Not too much on all of our enemies, foreign, and boy, do we have a bunch of them, and domestic, i.e. the terrorists we have let into our country. But to liaison with Anthony Fauci, a known killer. And you know why they had to do that? He had to urge service members to get vaccinated because, they're expendable, especially after the revelation that almost 40% at that time of active duty service members had turned down the opportunity when offered the vaccine voluntarily. That's nearly half. But we couldn't have that, right? No autonomy. And you know what he said? He said, well, I'll get the vaccine. I guess that's the first time he led by example. I'll get the vaccine. I don't know if he got a medal for that as well. And he emphasized that taking the coronavirus vaccine will prevent disease among the troops, particularly those who will be deployed overseas. And boy, did we know we had to deploy a bunch of boys and girls overseas. But we know that's a lie too. You know why? If it was such an imperative to get that vaccine, then we would have made sure that all these migrants that came across our southern border were immediately vaccinated. We had all the syringes in hand, right? Just had the Border Patrol holding the vaccine up as they come through. Say, hey, you're free to pass. Just let me go ahead and give you the shot in your arm. But that didn't happen. And then you want to know what his second big initiative was after he got everyone in line? Here was his second biggest initiative. Lloyd Austin said it had come to his attention that there was possible right-wing extremism among the troops. Right-wing extremism? You mean guys who actually love their country and their flag? So Lloyd Austin implemented new training requirements. And on February 5th of 2021, he announced that all members of the U.S. military would be required to stand down within the next 60 days in order to conduct training. And he let them know the importance of the oath of office. I'm not sure whose oath. And he reviewed what is now permissible and impermissible behavior, what you can say and what you cannot say. I guess what you can wear and cannot wear, who you shower with and who you don't. And then developed a pipeline running directly to him whereby procedures were put in place that, remember that old thing, if you hear something, see something that's unusual, make a call? Well, within the own military, if you reportedly heard or encountered suspected or actual extremist behavior, please get in touch with Lloyd. And that consisted of, hey, the United States shouldn't be doing this. Maybe the United States shouldn't be doing that. We've been fighting over here for this long. All the guys over here keep getting killed. Can we have this in support of our operation? You were an extremist. All right, well, thank you, Lloyd Austin. All right, I think that just further solidifies just how back-ass we have become in this fallen world. And this is from a man who loves his country. And I love it so much that I would like to see it change for the better. And that is why we're doing this show. That's just one part of it. We're just simply trying to educate ourselves, man. I guess that's enough for the unclean. Maybe our brains have now been rewired, and we're going to tackle a plethora of upcoming issues. In fact, I'm going to ask for you guys to give me a few suggestions. I have a million directions that I would like to go, but you know how to reach me. If you have an interest in a show topic and or an interest in anything, simply pin me a little note and I will craft the show for you. And before I go ahead and talk about how to become clean, let me go ahead and thank 2 countries. And I mean, man, we're getting worldwide appeal. 57 countries now. Yep, 57 countries. And we are taking off. I already told you how Canada took off. Belgium is taking off. I think that's so cool because we know how liberal Europe as a whole is. In fact, they're so effing liberal, they inundated themselves to their own demise and let every damn Muslim extremist they could shake a stick at come in. And just like Lloyd Austin gave corrective training to the U.S. military on right-wing extremism, now the European parliaments are having to have indoctrination training for the Muslims they have let in. And here's what it consists of. If you see a woman, a European woman, we already know what you do with your wives, but just because she is a woman and a white woman, please do not rape her. Please do not rape her. That's the training ongoing for Muslims in Europe. It is a wonderful thing. Okay. And also India is getting prolific in listenership. Thank you, India. And you're like, man, how is he growing in these other countries? Well, as we go, they go. As they go, we go. Here we are poking our noses everywhere in the world, and Putin's already been to North Korea and solidified their support. In fact, they signed a defense pact. You want to fight North Korea too? All right. Did you know he just went over to Prime Minister Modi in India? They just solidified a unilateral trade and defense pact. That's only 1 billion and something people over there in India. Guys, things are changing. And if we don't do something on our own end, they're going to keep business as usual. They love the status quo because people like Lloyd Austin and Hunter Biden keep getting richer and richer while we are toiling away in obscurity down here. And the more that they keep participating in actions like this around the world, the tougher it is going to be for you to stand up to the vermin around you in your own city and raise your own family. So guys, that is the unclean. Let's get clean. In fact, before I started this show, I ran a few sprints with my son who said he wants to get faster. So I'm sitting here literally with my sweat drying out and I need to get clean. And I can't wait to get under that shower with my Silo fiber bag. You don't need a loofah sponge. You don't need any of that pumice BS and scrubbing on your doggone heels like women do and on your hands and on your toes. You've got that bag that will serve as a de facto agitator in your old country soap. That's right, American crafted in Burbank, South Dakota. Comes in a variety of colors and a variety of sizes. And for artisan and handcrafted soap of this quality, you are paying tremendously less than you would find it elsewhere. It is cured for a month. Its composition is coconut oil and bentonite clay to help with those impurities. You simply insert it in that Silo fiber bag, and it will last and last. In fact, some of the original bags, when I placed my first order, I still have them. And for a certain amount of bars, Old Country Soap gives them to you for free. So oldcountrysoap.com, old is spelled O-L-D-E. Use my promo code Chaos20 and they will hook you up. And I would be remiss if I did not. Let's pull it back up. We got to pull it up, guys. We are going back into the dregs of good old Epstein's Island, the one that they wanted to quietly slip away. Only one lady held accountable, and how many corrupt, degenerate people have been there. Now, of course, like when you go to a wedding Or when you go to a VRBO or Airbnb, I mean, the homeowner is gracious. You've rented their facility, but they want you to sign their guest book. So these names here are simply the people who signed the guest book. They were so proud of themselves and so jubilant about being on Epstein's Island. But did you know one of the main people who precluded Epstein's list from reaching the public? Now, he was not on this list, but I have a sneaking suspicion that he was there. You know why I think that? Because he's on the flight logs, at least on the plane that went there, the Lolita's Express. He just didn't sign the book, per se, on the island. And that's none other than long-standing Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois. Yep, another bastion of Democratic morality in a foregone state where black men kill more black men every year than we have KIA in the Iraq or Afghani theater. Where good old Obama's from. But Dick Durbin is one of the ones who poo-pooed that list being released because he was on the plane. All right, to our list. I think we started in the seas. We got to finish up here. I think I told you, man. Dang, man, we had Celine Dion. Charles Barkley's been on there. I hope he wasn't involved in all that. All right, Chelsea Handler. Oh, the good old comedian. Oh, yeah, she didn't have Sonny with her, but Cher was there. Okay, Cher was there. Chris Tucker. Maybe he went to rehab after that slap from Will Smith, or was that Chris Rock? I don't know. They're all the same. Good God. Courtney Cox. Oh, yeah, the singer. Is this one going to surprise you? Demi Moore? Demi Moore. Okay. David Spade. David Spade. Okay. And you know I like to go around. I'm kind of rifling through. We had started the C's. I'm rifling through the D's. Drew Barrymore. Good old E.T., famous child actress. Yep. Here's one. Let's just jump on down. Ehud Barak. Yeah. When you can get the goods on a Israeli prime minister, boy, you can sure shape some policy. Ellen DeGeneres. Oh, yeah, she's a good, fun-loving lesbian. We know all about that. Ellen is so wicked that she would probably have you killed if you confronted her, although she would hire someone to do it. And I like jumping around, so we'll kind of stay in that spot. But my God, Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada. And you know I sang "Oh Canada" last week. Lady Gaga and Madonna. Do those ladies surprise you? Decrepit, devalued, devil worshippers. All right, guys. We just had a little bit more taste here, and we are going to start. We're going to start projecting our message the remainder of this week. So until next time on the Comfortable in Chaos podcast, I bid you bon voyage, my burgeoning flock.